Everywhere you go, you don't see a person walking around without a cell phone or smartphone in their hand. It's no doubt a very useful and convenient tool for social communication, but where is using a cell phone, or smartphone not so convenient? Wherever an individual may go at any second, should that person not answer or use their phone while they're operating dangerous machinery? I'm talking about particularly cars. Why? This activity can put that person into an incredibly dangerous scenario because one has their full occupancy and attention over their phone. Our thought processes over the phone is concentrated on that activity, but not what we're doing on the road. Yet not only talking on the phone is dangerous, but texting while driving is statistically worse. But because of many tragedies involved with using a phone while driving, this is actually a problem, believe it or not, in America. So today I'm going to tell you 3 things about why using a cell phone while you're driving is life-threatening and why should you not put yourself in this scenario using strategies based on research by first telling you how using a cell phone or smartphone impairs driving abilities in an individual using conducted research. Secondly, why should you not perform this dangerous act by sharing the incidents as a stigma involving using a phone while driving, and finally explain a few very simplistic solutions that would secure your safety and for other drivers along with pedestrians on the road from urgent or unnecessary calls on your phone. The first thing you should know about using a phone while driving is that it has the potential to impair driving abilities, which can risk serious injury to or death to self or to another driver or pedestrian on the road, because the activity during operation of a vehicle has the potential to slow the reaction time up to 4 times of a normal driver. According to Christian Morano of the infographic DWI Driving While Intoxicated at onlineschools.com, last visited November 29, 2013, the most minimum amount of reaction time taken away when texting and driving is about 5 seconds based on studies where driving 55 miles per hour under that reaction time is equivalent distance of a football field without looking on the road. This data is based on participants ages 20 to 40 that were composing a text rather than reading one while driving. How exactly dangerous the reaction time of composing a text? According to Philip LeBeau, a correspondent of CNBC editorial at CNBC.com, last visited November 29, 2013, he witnessed a conducted controlled study in a desert strip of drinking and driving versus reading an email and sending an SMS over the phone. In comparison of driving as controlled normally, being legally drunk on the road averaged an additional 5 feet from braking reaction, being over the limit averaged of an additional 30 feet from braking reaction, reading an email on a phone added an additional 36 feet, and texting on the phone added an additional 70 feet. LeBeau explains that the data itself texting while driving is worse than drinking and driving, as opposed to blunt terms that reading and text and drunk driving is just as bad. You can see the potency of how using a phone while driving hampers driving abilities. You can see the statistics involved with the phone-related driving incidents. As for my second part of explaining why using a phone while driving is bad, there are many stories with this happen around America where accidents happen that involves doing it, but it isn't seen widely as a stigma of a harmful habit. According to Monica Guzman, an editor of a blog from the Seattle Times at blogs.seattletimes.com, last visited November 29, 2013, she explains that even though it is banned in 14 states in America because of the phone-related incidents, while here in Washington both texting and handheld devices are illegal while driving, people will still pull out their phones to answer a call or text. Guzman claims that the phone stimulates the behavior in an individual to decide whether to pick up a phone when it rings, as in the back of a person's mind, for the direct need to answer the phone, as being the most dangerous passenger when it comes to answering it on the road, because we are constantly exposed to the stigma of picking up the phone considering everyday habits. Who wouldn't pick up the phone? Even though you may find the resilience to not answer the phone while driving, many people out there are still doing it out of habit and getting into accidents. According to Christian Morano of the infographic DWI at onlineschools.com, last visited November 29, 2013, the distraction of phone-related incidents activities correspond with the risk of crash rates to correlation of, with these related activities, Reaching for the phone increases the risk of crashing by 1.4 times. Talking and listening on the phone increases the risk of crashing by 1.3 times. Dialing on the phone increases the risk of crashing by 2.8 times, but texting makes crashing 23 times more likely, concerning this activity being the most duration for eyes off the road of all distracting related driver activities. This statistics consisted of adult drivers ages of 18 to 20, where only 13% of drivers involved in car wrecks admitted that they were only using the mobile phones at the time, or the duration of the crash during the year 2011-2012. Out of fear, society cannot openly admit of using a phone while driving is harmful and dangerous habit. We cannot expect safety in the future if more and more drivers on the road use their phones while they're driving, unless we practice to not use their phones while driving. For my last explanation, as to briefly explain what can remedy this problem, they are just actually quite simple tips, according to Krista Morano of the infographic DWI at onlineschools.com, last visited November 29, 2013. She simply tips that you keep a phone placed in your car where you cannot reach it. Another tip, according to Philip LeBeau, correspondent of the CNBC editorial at cnbc.com, last visited November 29, 2013, suggests pulling over somewhere out of traffic's way and stop to make way with the message received. To put it more simply than these suggestions, driving is top priority to have your focus, which should not be multitasked with another activity. Simply turn off your phone or turn your phone silent, because death in an accident on the road is not a price to pay for a conversation or an SMS. To make this more renowned and safer strategy for all drivers on the road, if you know somebody who has this habit of pulling out their phone, they need to know not to pull it out their phone, regarding safety for themselves and for the other drivers on the road. If safety is disregarded by the individual to be convinced, they're going to have to, because it's the law which was created to protect everyone on the road. We now know what potential that texting and driving can serve dangerously to our lives, and it isn't worth having to risk over it. It isn't ideal to have yourself distracted behind the wheel, period. This activity hampers our ability to make decisions and awareness on the road, and is seen statistically as resulted from accidents. Surely you don't think that your life is worth having a quick chat with somebody or sending a text message. Make sure driving is your first and only priority when it comes to occupancy in a vehicle, and secure safety of other lives as well as your own. Thank you for listening to my presentation.